afternoon, everyone. My name is Randall van Voore. I'm an attorney. I'm a partner at Bowmans. It used to be called Bowmans, Heyman, Godfrey, and Sanderson. It was on my first day at Bowman, Gilfillan, Heyman, Godfrey, and Sanderson. It was the 18th of January 1993. It was a Tuesday. Our firm didn't have a Cape Town office then, so after I finished at university, I went and articled at the Joburg office. I think it was my second or third time in Joburg. And I went up a week before just to try and work out the bus routes and the minibus taxi routes, and from my flat, how do I get to work? Where am I going to buy food, bread, books, LPs as we used to call them back in the old days. I think you can still buy LPs now. I certainly replenish my LP collection. Law, ladies and gentlemen, like life, is not for sprinters. It is for middle distance runners. Very many of you would have come to this faculty to study law. Your parents, friends, relatives, aunt, uncle, older sister, brother, second cousin 3 times removed would have made the most enormous sacrifices in order for you to be here today. You must never ever forget or take for granted the sacrifices that they have made. If you're anything like me, Randall van Voore from Elsie's River, that part of Elsie's River where if you go down the Robertson Bookway Avenue and you turn right onto Delarey Road, I think it's still called that, you go over the railway line at Veil Uitzig on your left. Before you get to Ravensmeer High School, you turn into Uitzig. That is my old neighborhood. If you're anything like me, then by the time I went to visit my grandfather in a little town, late grandfather now, in a little town called Noupoort in the Northern Cape, that's where my father is from, I was a second year university student and he introduced me to all the neighbors. That's not pretty hard. Noupoort is a small town and there maybe were 37 neighbors. By the time we got to the first house, I was a law student. By the time we got to the last house, and I never ever had so much tea on one Sunday afternoon in all my life. By the time we got to the last house, I was no longer a law student. I was in fact a law student who has an offer from the Chief Justice of South Africa to work for him one day. Because that is what parents, friends, aunts, uncle, older sibling, important other person in your life dream for you and wish for you. There are very many rights that you have under the Constitution, and long may that last. But the one right that you do not have for as long as I am alive is the right to be average. To be okay is just a disgrace. You must rather be an outright failure. To be average is wrong. It is a defiance. It is to do an injustice to yourself and for all the people who made it possible for you to be here. And so, as you cruise through university, the other students, as they cruise through university, that is for them. It is not for you. We are law students. We are better. People sometimes say to me, goodness me, Randall, you're a bit of a slob. I say, no, not a bit. I am. It is why law is dreamed of by people. It is why they're so attracted to it. It is because of our learning and experience. Yes, some of us rise to become our betters and they resolve the most intractable disputes. Now, you can only get there one way. And there is unfortunately no other way. If you ask my friends at university first year, matric was 87, so first year would have been 1988. If you ask my friends first year at university, do you remember Randall van Voore? They will say, goodness gracious, of course we remember him. That guy with the blue Levi jeans or the black Levi jeans, the same pair of all-star tackies from first year to fifth year. He had on typically 3 t-shirts, which he'd swap around, and a big raincoat, that green NATO jacket with a hood on. And in the winter, that yellow oil skin. Yeah? They'd say, we remember him. They'd say he was just completely crazy. Because Friday afternoon, from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until Sunday morning at 1, belonged to me. I was probably the biggest joller at university. From Friday afternoon at 4 until Sunday morning at 1. That was my time. Every other hour belonged to my books. I was the first one at university. 2 taxis. No, 1 taxi, 2 trains. I got to university at 7 o'clock every morning just because. I never left the library unless I thought I was going to be mugged on the train and the taxi back home. Just because. I spent 12 hours with my books Monday to Thursday. Just because. And from Friday morning till 7 until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Just because. There is no other way to succeed. Though you will hear all kinds of lies at university. When you ask people, have you studied yet for that contract test? They will say, what do you mean study for the contract test? It's an exam. It's a month before the exam. I haven't studied yet. When you have a term paper due in September and you ask them, have you started? They'll say to you, are you crazy? It is only the end of July. Of course I haven't started. I'll probably do it the night before. Those are the little lies that students trade in that you must not fall for. That you must not fall for. Yours is the era of change. Yes. Yours is the era of the Fallist movements. Yours is the era of grabbing society by the scruff of its neck to reimagine a new world. That's what you guys believe or believe in. We believed that too. 1988 was prior, of course, to democracy. And if you want to change things, you must be the best at the present so that you can imagine the future. When poor working class people who are about they know in downtown Johannesburg, where the building has been hijacked by a group of criminals, and they need a lawyer to advance their cause in the High Court, you'd better hope that that lawyer knows a hell of a lot about the law of contract, knows more than everything about the law of lease, knows more than everything about the law of sale, and knows just about everything about the law of property. Why? Because you don't go before a court and say, my lord, these are poor clients of mine. They're about to be evicted from the only home they know. Tell that landlord there that they must stay. That's not how it works. You must say, my lord, they're in peaceful possession of the property and have been for the little wee while. And you must understand the principles of hier gaat voorkoop, for example, which you will learn about. Yes? Lawyers are not buskers. We know the law. Somebody must be able to wake you up in the middle of the night, 2 months before you're going to write delict, and say, explain to me the facts of Minister of Police versus Evans. Explain to me the facts of the Carmichael case. Yes? And you mustn't say, you know what? Let me Google it. That's not knowledge. That is slovenly laziness. You must know the law. That's why you're called a lawyer. You mustn't guess what the law might be. As lawyers, ladies and gentlemen, we are wordsmiths. We have no other tool. Yes? Mathematicians imagine the world through numbers and equations, complicated equations. Musicians imagine the world through beats and notes. Lawyers imagine and reimagine the world through words. And the only way to become the best wordsmith is to practice your craft. The best way to practice your craft as a lawyer is to read. Not what other people tell you, you must read. And you know that when you're preparing for an exam, Felipe, I know what I'm talking about. I have a 17-year-old son who is now a head taller than Mendell. And I have, on Wednesday, she'll be 19-year-old daughter, first year at university. When you're studying for an exam, please take my advice. If you learn nothing else this afternoon, learn only this. The best way to study for, well, the worst way to study for an exam is like this. Earphones in the ear. That's just nonsense. There's my children sit across with me when they were in standard 8. That's just nonsense. The best way to study for an exam is on a hard chair, sitting up straight, with something in front of you at this height, with ample light, a candle, electricity, a pen in your hand, quiet, so that you can absorb things. That is how you're going to remember. There is no other way to remember. To do it the night before is just unstylish. It introduces a whole lot of negative behaviors in you. Because now you panic 2 days before. You start asking friends for notes. You chew your nails to smithereens. You phone a doctor and you say, look, I need a sick certificate. You don't rock up at the venue and you make up lies about why you couldn't write the exam at the time. Just don't do that. Don't. People at other universities can do that. But at the university of the late Professor James Carroll, you can't do that. You have no right to do that. You have only one obligation, and that is to be the best you that you can be. If that is too hard, take time out from university. Go do something else and come back. Come back when you are ready to be serious. Law, like life, is for middle distance runners, not for sprinters. Pace yourself throughout your degree. Go to all your lectures unless there's a good reason not to. Now, of course, you have to bunk one lecture. In all of your university career, you must bunk at least one lecture so that you can say you bunked one lecture. But you are not at university to become the king of poker or cloverjass or dominoes in the students' union. You are not at university to become the champion pool player. You are not at university to become the connoisseur of that awful brew called beer. You are at university to learn. Now, of course you're going to be young. I wasn't born 48. I wasn't born 48 years old. I was a teenager once, shocking as that might sound. And you're going to do things that teenagers do. I am the luckiest so-and-so in the whole world, I always tell people. I went to university, I worked like a slave, I played hard on the weekend. A young woman caught my eye. We're married now for 20. We're married now for 22 years. We have 2 beautiful children. And we did the things that young people do. We still imagine ourselves young. So we continue to do the things that young people do. So it is not that you don't live at university. Of course you must live. But my goodness. There is a closing window of opportunity in your life. And that is called a degree. Whether or not you make it through that window is entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you. Go to the lectures. Read the readings before the time. Your professors give you a case book. Your professors give you a course outline. Your professors give you a reading list. And there is at this university a magnificent library. Don't sit at the library. Of course you have to sometimes go to the students' union, hang out with other kids, eat some slop chips, have disgraceful amounts of Coca-Cola or whatever other sugary drink you want to drink, and hang out a bit, and that's fine. Do that some of the time. For most of the time, you must make the library your fixed address. People must say about you, as the librarian must, that corner belongs to that law student. They're always there. That's not hard to do. That's really not hard to do. And when you do those things, just because you must, and if you can't do it for yourself, do it because I say so, you will be rewarded by life. Law is a very difficult profession. The hours are bleak. We have roughly 144 partners at Bowmans, only in South Africa. I say nothing of the offices in Kampala, Nairobi, and Dar es Salaam, and the soon-to-be office in Maputo. We have roughly 78 candidate attorneys, articled clerks as we used to be called. And then we have any number of associates and senior associates, which is what you become after you've done your articles and before you become a partner. Lawyers work very, very hard. A candidate attorney's morning typically starts at 7:45 and her day finishes at 6:30. That's if it's not busy. That's if it's not busy. When it is busy, you must ask Mr. Rian Marinus, class of 2014. You must ask Tony Dammert, class of 2014. You must ask Sandile Fultani, class of 2014. You must ask Sivuyile Lucci, class of 2013. And you must ask Zetu, class of 2012. All of them from UWC, who work for us as lawyers. On a busy day, it can maybe get to 30 hours. But we're a decent firm, so there's a canteen, subsidized food, you have your own desk, you get a laptop, coffee, and all of those things. And from time to time, you will work weekends. At least one weekend a month, on average, in the course of your life as a lawyer. Why? Because clients bring to us their most intractable problems. Yes. Their most difficult cases. The cases where there are no easy answers. The cases where we have to use all of our learning to try and analyze what went on and then to provide a solution. Would I have it any other way? I cannot think of a more rewarding profession. I wake up every year and I think about the next year and I think, what does this year hold? I'm probably going to learn about a new industry. Maybe it's mining. Maybe it's transport. Maybe it's fishing. Maybe it's higher education. And the clients pay you to learn about their industry and then to advise them. They pay you because they've heard in the market that that is the real market. These people are real people. Noxie works in our firm as a candidate attorney. Adam works in our firm as a candidate attorney. In our last selection day in Johannesburg, May 2017, I don't see her here today, maybe it's just that my eyesight is failing, we hired at least one candidate attorney, a prospective candidate attorney from your university. I don't want to embarrass her by calling out her name right now. And every year, successive generations of would-be candidate attorneys apply to the firm to become lawyers. Many of them stay. The longest serving one of them is Mr. Jerry Kapu, UWC, has been a partner in the firm or a lawyer in the firm for 21 years. Other than serving articles and a few years as an associate and senior associate, has been a partner in the firm. There are many things you can do with a law degree. I hope you all become attorneys. People will say to you that law is overtraded. There are already too many lawyers. They are wrong. There aren't too many smart lawyers. There are very many lawyers out there. How on earth they got their degrees beyond me? Because sometimes when I'm in a matter with them or they engage in correspondence with me, I wonder, is it possible that this person even has a degree? Let alone a law degree, just a degree. And so the crisis in South Africa is not that law is overtraded, it's that there are too few smart lawyers. The University of the Western Cape has had a prized law faculty for very many years now. And you find yourself in a prized position. What you do with it is entirely up to you. Is entirely up to you. You have no right to waste your time and to become average. You have no right. No right at all. Yes? Life is hard. But of course there are rewards. And we all relax in ways that we deem appropriate. My perfect relaxation, and this is what I try and do at least once a month, is to have my outies, my friends over at my house, to take out my Jonas, Gwangwa, Winston Mankunku, Dollar Brand, Elvin Dyer's albums, and to play it on the turntable. To have some nice oxtail going in the kitchen, and maybe a few glasses of red wine. And that for me is a perfect relaxation on a quiet weekend. And then I'm at peace with it. You get your kicks wherever you get your kicks. But the most magnificent kick of all is just the appreciation of what a law degree can do. Let the others be cool. Please, let them be cool. Let them swag and whatever they do. That's for them. That's for other people. That's not for you. You're a law student. And you're a law student at UWC. I think I've said enough. I'll hand over to my colleague Mendell. And after that, we can take some questions. Thank you.
So I feel like the guy who has to follow up Justin Bieber at a Justin Bieber concert. You got the main act already, so I don't know what's left for me to do. Some covers of the songs you already heard. Randall's touched on everything, and if you think that anything he says is a fabrication or that he's any different from what he is that you saw here, there's an act that he's put on, he's even worse at the office every day. Okay? It's exactly what it's like, it's exactly what he's like, it's exactly what the firm's like now. I might repeat some things, I don't want to detain you unnecessarily. There will be some questions that you'll want to ask us. But I sat in these lecture halls from probably started the tail end of January, start of February 1994. I didn't take a taxi and 2 trains like Randall. I walked from Eendracht Street, Bellville South. Hey? You know where that is? Just on the next block from Swanee's, that's where I grew up. Eendracht Street, opposite the luncheon. Eendracht and, I can't remember the name of that street now. That's where I grew up. Walked to UWC, just finished matric. Some guidance counselor at school said to me, you filled in this questionnaire, we think you're suited to law. Applied to study law, UWC lost my application. I hadn't heard from them by about 2 weeks before the year was supposed to start. They said to me, I'm sorry, we're sorry, you're not accepted here, you'll have to come back next year. I said no. I went and queued outside the admin building. I went to every office that I could go to, knocked on every door. No matter how many people said no, I went and continued knocking until someone would listen to me and someone would say they will take my application now and enroll me, and I got in here. I didn't know what to expect when I landed here. I don't know what year you guys in. I don't know how much you know about the profession or what your job options or opportunities are going forward, but I really didn't know much. It was year 1994, 1995, 1996. And if someone said to me on that first morning, I was wearing, I can't remember all the clothes, remember his clothes he was wearing, but I do remember I had a San Francisco 49ers cap on when I came to varsity on my first day. And if someone had said to me then that I would be standing or working today at Bowmans, one of the premier law firms in the country, doing what I do now, every day. This morning I'm busy preparing an opinion on instructions received from Clifford Chance, the largest law firm in the world. The other part of the morning I was giving advice to the second largest tobacco manufacturer in the world. The client list at Bowmans is impressive. The clients you'd work for if you came to work for us is impressive. The complexity of the work, as Randall says, is second to none. There are no run-of-the-mill matters at Bowmans, and you know why that is really? It's quite simple. We just charge too much for run-of-the-mill matters. The hourly rates are high. They're on par with the other big firms in the country. We all charge a lot of money for our services. So the matters that come in aren't simple matters, they are complex. They will tax you every single day. Every day. Complex matters, high profile matters, matters for massive clients. I would never have thought that I would wind up at a firm at Bowmans, but I have. And what I want to add to what Randall has said is that I'm not sure what you plan to do with your career. I don't know what you want to do, but certainly Bowmans is a place for you. Bowmans is a place where you can work, where you can have the career that I've had, you can have the career that Randall has had, you can get job satisfaction every day. You can go home and go, wow, I lawyered well today. I'm a better lawyer today than I was yesterday. My skills have improved. I'm doing some, yes, it was terrible. I was biting my nails. I don't even have nails from chewing my nails because of the stress. Like Randall says, it's not easy. There are easier ways to make money. This is not a job, this is a vocation, it's a calling. You've got to want it. You must want to do this. People turn their back on the profession because it becomes too difficult. It's not easy. The hours are brutal, as Randall says. Hours are long. He says 1 week in the month. I think he's exaggerating. And I work 7 days a week. I don't work all day on Saturdays and Sundays. But on a Saturday morning, I spent 4.5 hours drafting a contract on Saturday morning. Not because I had to. There was a deadline only today. I sent the contract off this morning. But I did that so that my week is not as chaotic as it could be, because I don't know what the next instruction is that's going to come down the line. I don't know what the next complication is going to be in a matter that I'm busy working on. So we work consistently. The work is hard, the work is difficult, but it is beyond rewarding. So you obviously, there's an opportunity for you to apply for work at Bowmans. There's all the, we have the winter vacation program that we run. We have a summer vacation program that we run. I think the winter one has now been concluded. We're holding a selection day in the course of this week, and our selection day is our, as one would understand, the job interview process, where we make the final decisions. We invite people to the firm, and after the selection day, we make a decision on that group that we've invited, who of those candidates we are going to employ. So the vacation program is, as you would understand, the vacation program, either in winter or in summer. You come as a group to our firm, you get exposed to all the departments, you should shadow lawyers, you'd spend a lot of time with our junior lawyers to get a sense of the firm, the culture of the firm, see if it's a sort of place where you would like to work. And then sometimes we invite people straight on our selection day. Other times we first evaluate them from the vacation programs and then decide from the vacation program if we want to invite them to a selection day. Now, selection day is something different, right? I always joke too, and Randall and I interview almost all the time and interview people on these selection days. I joke that if I was going on a selection day now, if I was a university student, I'd probably not get through. It is difficult. It is very difficult. And that's why when Randall says time in the library, making the library your permanent home, having a corner of the library that is yours, or people go, oh, why is that desk empty? So-and-so is always there, is very important. One of my major regrets from my time at university is probably that someone like Randall didn't come in my first year to the university and come and tell me what was required, what the hours were that were needed at university. I came from high school. I arrived at university. I had the mentality of a school student. I never skipped any classes. I went to all my lectures. But I prepared for exams. So I go to class, take all the notes, and then start studying for the exams. In hindsight now, what I've learned from, 17, 18 years that I've been practicing, is that you've got to engage the subject matter at university every day. It's not a question of, here's my D-Lit textbook and my notes. I've got to study this and learn for my D-Lit exam, because the end result is passing my D-Lit exam. The end result of studying D-Lit is to, like that, be able to understand the principles that are at play, hear a set of facts, apply what you know to those facts, predict or provide advice if necessary on those facts, B, predict the outcome of a potential case involving those facts. That's the purpose of studying. So engage in your subjects more, because on the selection day that we have, when you come to, not just us, I reckon, all the other firms that interview as well, you get tested not on things that you can really study for while opening a textbook. You get tested on your understanding, whether you have an innate understanding and feel for the law, and an innate understanding of how risk works, and an innate understanding on how to provide advice on a scenario, to pinpoint what the crisp issues are in a set of facts, and then to be able to advise on that. And you can't parrot fashion learn a textbook to get that. So on the selection days, we have a fairly extensive, I don't want to call it an interrogation, but it's pretty close to an interrogation, where people get tested. You know, we have 2 interviews, technical interviews. There are a due diligence exercise that you have to perform. There are group exercises that you do with your colleagues, and it is fun. It really is fun. It's a great opportunity to test yourself and see what your skill set is like and how good a lawyer you are. So we encourage all of you to apply for our summer vacation program that's coming up. In fact, I'm not sure where, if the programs actually allow you to decide where you want to go, if you go to Joburg or the Cape Town office. But if I could make a suggestion, try and go to our Joburg office. Our new building up there is something to behold. I mean, you see, watch people say, is law, practicing law in South Africa like what you see on the television if you watch, I don't know, Suits or something like that, okay? All those people in those buildings in Suits have absolutely nothing on the Sandton office that we have now. And even on the Cape Town office is something magnificent as well. We've got our own building, 18 floors in Bree Street. In Sandton we've got, I don't know what that thing is, it's magnificent. I mean, it looks like something out of the future. It's really an amazing building, and you walk in and you go, wow, the law firms in South Africa really have offices like this, and apparently they can. It's amazing. So if you do get the opportunity, if anyone gives you a choice about which selection day you want to go on, go to the Joburg one, to see what the Sandton office looks like. It's truly amazing. So I don't know if there's time for questions. If you want to ask some questions now, Randall and I will be more than happy to answer anything you want to know about the profession, about our jobs, more about getting a job at Bowmans. As you'll see, I'm not a proponent of the Creflo Dollar evangelical style of moving up and down like Van Voore, more conservative behind my preekstoel over there.
So I understand that kind of attorneys, they rotate on 4 departments, and that when they enter, when you do modules in your final year, when you select, do you have to select specific modules that, let's say, if you want to do conveyancing, you select a module that relates to that, or conveyancing for that sake? Because I've met a couple of senior students who say that you don't necessarily need to have or to take modules that relate to what you want to do, or you can take easier modules for you to get the mark that you need to get to Bowmans or what. So
yeah, I mean, it cuts both ways, right? Depending on your perspective, the answer changes. The answer I always give is the following. The question is what subjects to choose, right? My advice always is to choose the subjects that you would be most engaged by, okay? The subjects that you enjoy doing the most. Universities, I don't know what the core subjects are now, but you have to do all the core subjects. So it's an impossibility that you could come out of a law faculty and not have done contract, for example, okay? It's a core subject for you to have done to come and practice law. The modules that you can choose, conveyancing is an interesting one, because obviously if you want to be a conveyancer, I recommend it highly that you do conveyancing. But other than that, and maybe I think intellectual property could be another one. If you wanted to be an IP lawyer, I'd suggest going to it. But other than that, everything else you can really pick up the technical nuance stuff in practice. The important thing is to get a broad cross-section of training. You've got to get a couple of public law subjects, you've got to get a couple of private law subjects in. You've got to get a broad cross-section so that your legal knowledge, like Randall said with his example of the eviction, that you have a knowledge of everything. So we are specialists. I'm per se an employment law specialist. I do broader dispute resolution, so I do a bit of governance, compliance and investigation work, white collar crime stuff. I do a bit of sports law as well. That's sort of my bouquet of things that I do. But those things don't just involve a labor lawyer. It doesn't just require a knowledge of employment law. The best lawyers are the ones who know a lot about everything. So spread your net as wide as you can and do as many of the subjects that you want to do, and the rest will take care of itself. We don't say you must have that. We only look at people who go and do shipping. Often haven't even done shipping at university. But then again, people who do wind up doing shipping have done shipping. There's no specific thing.
Alright, I have a quick question. The talk was good, by the way, very good. The question I have is about the LLB, the degree itself. There has been vast discussion about its relevance and whether it produces, well-equipped graduates. So my question here is that, do you still see the LLB itself to be relevant?
You want to go or me? Oh. So when you say do we see the LLB still being relevant?
Is it effective?
In comparison to what other law degrees?
Like Vets for instance.
Sorry,
Vets University,
yeah.
they've done away with the LLB, seeing it as not effective. So you have to do your BA law and then after LLB. So you can't go.
Right, so you're talking about the straight LLB versus the combination. So I don't think one should get hung up on the tag that is given to the degree that comprises all the subjects that we've already mentioned, right? It all comes down, the question of effective or not, comes down to how well the students can perform in the subjects that they are taught, whether it's part of a 2-degree or 4-degree, one LLB or BA Law LLB. So I did a BA LLB, a BA Law LLB, okay? I think where the difference comes is in the duration of time that you spend at university. And often that debate is really about that, whether a four-year period of study at university is enough to prepare you for the job at hand. Now, is it enough? Again, how long is a piece of string? It's different from person to person. Some people can do it after 4 years at university. Others maybe need 5 years. Would I say 5 years at university would produce a better student than 4 years at university? Well, the answer would have to be yes, right? More years learning your craft must be better than less years. Unless, even if you were a genius, the more years you were at university, the better. So if they made the LLB 5 years versus a 3-year BA Law plus a 2-year LLB, then there's no debate. It's just, you spend 5 years at the university, you get the, you have the skills that you have after those 5 years. So they can, my view is they can call it what they want to. The important thing is, again, how you as the student interacts with the coursework that you are given and how seriously you take your study and how good a student you become of dealing, contract, criminal law, specific offences, civil procedure, etc.
But are you big firms like Bowmans, for instance? Are you guys deterred from employing someone who has done all your
No, it would be counterintuitive. One of the top young senior associates in the firm works for me. We are literally tied at the hip. She has an extrasensory perception of when I'm about to get up. I don't make a phone call without her. I don't go to a meeting without her. I don't draft and finalize a letter without her. She did the 4-year LLB at Wits while they still offered it. She is a fine young attorney. She's a fine young attorney. So put that out of your mind. There was a question here.
Thank you very much again for the discussion you had with us. I can say that first and foremost that Career Explorer does help students quite a lot in preparing us for what you put in a cover letter, what you look for at employers and employees, that's what you should do, and curriculum does. But my question to the two of you is, what do you look for then as standout aspects of a CV and a cover letter? What are the kind of things that we as students can pinpoint and make sure is there when you're looking and reviewing at applications?
Indeed. I mean, I've given some of the clues. Maybe they were too heavily disguised. But to make them a bit more obvious, sorry for my walking around style. But this I blame my late grandfather, John Africa van Voore. He was a minister of religion in the Congregational Church. And 3 times a year we would have to go down to Noordpoort. One of them would have to be at Easter. It was more important than Christmas. And even although my wife and I had just spent any number of hours driving down from Johannesburg, if we were 10 minutes late for the service, he would scold us from the pulpit. And he used to walk around. That's where I get it from. What are we looking for? We are literally looking for a standout character. At Bowmans, we aren't looking for a type. People say about the firm that we're a bit crazy. It's a bit like herding cats. Because we aren't looking for people who are all going to just be like us. I'm not interested in that kind of character. And the rest of the committee on selection and recruitment aren't interested in that character either. So we want someone who is genuinely interested in the law. You mustn't be doing this while you're thinking of the rest of your life. You must be genuinely interested in the law firstly. And there's that hackneyed word that they use, but I can't think of another word yet. It's that passion. You must be moved by this. You must want to do this. There will be ways in which it shows itself. Then we are looking for someone who has a demonstrable tail of the tape at high school, at university, for that little thing called leadership. Yes? Now, leadership doesn't mean standing in the front and shouting the honors. Leadership doesn't mean having been head boy, head girl, chairperson of the SRC, class rep, etc., etc. It can manifest itself in any number of other ways. What we're looking for is people who, beyond the books, have an appreciation of whatever it is where they get their kicks. Music, sport, writing, but you must have demonstrated that beyond just the books, you are keenly interested in something. And then the other thing we look for, people think we joke about this, but it's absolutely critical. Nice is not a nice word. It's an awful word. But we look for nice people. Many years ago, there was a cat who came to selection day. At the end of day one, he was flying. He was in pole position. And then there was a group exercise that we gave them that afternoon. After the group exercise, it's a group of 5, they leave. And I can see this guy hanging around, waiting to speak to me. I said, well, okay, go along. Go with the rest of the group. He says, no, Randall, can I speak to you? Oh, very honest. I said, yes. He says to me, you know what? That exercise was great. That group exercise was great. But there's one person here who dragged us down. I actually know her from university. She's a weak student. She shouldn't be on this program. I thought to myself, you little so-and-so. I didn't want to poison the well of the minds of the other partners on the selection and recruitment program, so I kept stum. He flew through the second day also. I then shared with them this experience. His photograph was the first one to come off the board. Why? Because ours is an enterprise in and of collective endeavor. And when the pressure is really on, because clients can be difficult, and your opponents can sometimes do some pretty mean things. When the pressure's really on, we at Bowmans don't turn on each other. Somebody with an experience like that is going to throw their colleague under the bus. That forms no part of the lived experience of our firm. Decent human being. Decent human being. I think we still have time for a few more questions. One more.
So when we went to the expo, I heard a lot of people speak about the all-round student. Now when you, at Bowmans, what do you consider as an all-round student?
So, the all-round student, right? So to answer the question first, all-round student, we want someone who has a little bit of everything, right? So the academics, community involvement university, leadership, team working abilities, all the things that we possibly look for. We don't go the highest mark in the class. So that guy we spoke about now could have been the best student on that selection day, but he doesn't have the team working skills. He doesn't have the humanity about him. So that's not an all-rounder. That's the question, right? So we look for everything. But there's a popular misconception that has arisen around Bowmans looking for all-rounders, or all-round students. Call them all-rounders. Okay? Anybody here cricket fans? Right. Lots of cricket fans. There are lots of all-rounders who play cricket, correct? But they're not all Jock Callis, are they? No. We're looking for Jock Callis when we come to universities. We're looking for someone who is excellent in all departments. We're not looking for bits and pieces lawyers who do a little bit of everything, but they're too thinly spread and they're not excellent at anything. Our all-rounders are excellent at everything, and that is what we're looking for.
And I hear the shock. And it is not an impossible bar. Many people from this faculty have done it and continue to do it. I mentioned their names. If you come and visit our Cape Town office, you will see at least 8 graduates from the University of the Western Cape amongst our first and second year candidate attorneys. So they're there.
Any other questions before Martin?
There's a
Can
question
I answer that? Sorry, can you answer that question?
right at the back.
I just want to know if you have to be like, do you have to be excellent from first year, or like can they take people who like had a change of heart?
Life is interesting. Life isn't perfect. Life isn't perfect. Please, don't get me wrong. We aren't looking for perfection. There is no such thing. The pursuit of perfection is a fool's errand. Because life happens. Yes, life happens. We regularly see students with a few blots on their copybook. And we ask. We don't ask to embarrass them. What happened in the law of things? How could you have gotten 55% for the law of things? How's that possible? We don't ask it in that term. But we don't ask the question to embarrass the student. We don't ask the question to make the student feel awkward. Once you're on selection day, you're on. So we're no longer holding the 52%, 57% against you. It's the authenticity of the answer that interests me most. And typically the authenticity of the answer is this. You know what? It was a bad year. I didn't spend enough time on this course. The answer is not, oh, I didn't like the lecturer. Or the books were too hard to get hold of. The lecturer was mean to me. Everybody complained about that course. And something happened to me before the exam. No, that's not the answer. The answer is accountability. Take responsibility for it and own it. That's the answer. Yeah? So we aren't looking for that mythical thing called perfection. Things happen in first year. But they can't keep on happening. So if they're happening in first year, second year, third year, fourth year, there's a problem. The best place for you to be the night before your final exam is in bed by 10. Not sitting there 5 mugs of coffee until 4 o'clock in the morning. It's in bed by 10. The best place to be before the June exam is you and your chummies making food together in your res room from 8:30, eating the food. They must go home or to their res room, and you must get into bed at 10. And you must sleep. And you must wake up in the morning, having slept your 8 hours, and you must walk into that exam room, and you must be calm, and you must be confident, knowing that you are just going to clap it. But you can only know that if you've done the work. That's when you can know it. So you had a question?
I just want to ask this question. When you receive applications, do you prefer students from resident universities? So for instance, if you had a student from UNISA and a student from WITS, UWC, UCT, is there a criticism with regard to students that are from?
Yeah, so a bias towards certain universities. So we are active at all universities. We go and do this at all universities in the country. Obviously, UNISA is different, but I think we do have some efforts there. So we certainly don't have a bias to recruit from particular universities. However, our record suggests that we recruit predominantly from certain universities. That's not because we look to recruit predominantly from those universities. It's because we get the candidates who come on our selection days, the best ones are hired from those universities. So in the Cape Town office, we have an equal spread between the 3 universities. In fact, probably UCT would be the most people, UWC would be the second, and Stellenbosch would be the third amongst the Western Cape-based universities. So we don't have a bias at all, but the big universities close to where our offices are. So WITS, for example, we have in the Joburg office, the majority of people are WITS students, but there isn't a WITS bias where we look at all the CVs and can go, okay, well, we're not looking at all these transcripts from TICs and we throw it in the bin. I mean, we take the best people on the basis, because when we decide who we bring on selection day, right, we can only go on the marks. So we have a sense of what good marks are from each university, because we've now built up institutional knowledge. I know I can look at the marks from all universities and I can see what's a good mark for UWC by comparing it to what the Tony Dumberts, Rian Marinuses, Z2s, etc. have gotten when we hired them. So I know what the good marks are for here. Same with other universities, and we invite the people with the best marks and who have all the things that we're looking for in the CV. Leadership skills, involvement in things outside of university, involvement in causes, trying to make the world a better place. Those are things that we look for, and then those people come on selection days, and then at the selection days how the person performs. But we don't have a bias for any particular university. I mean, our numbers, I mean, like I said, I graduated from UWC, I got hired in the 90s. In Finley and Tate, the Cape Town office of Bowmans was known then, were hiring people from UWC in the 90s. They have throughout the 2000s and continue to do so.
And maybe as one last comment, we take a lot of candidate attorneys. And that's because we're unrehabilitated optimists. Yeah? Our faith in the economy of this country and its rigor is almost unshakable. We'll probably, for the year 2019, settle on roughly 46 candidate attorneys. For the year 2020, probably 44, 45. I anticipate that as the economy improves, for the year 2021, the number is going to soon breach 50. But that's because people like us only have so much time left in the firm. We have a compulsory retirement age of 65. In 10 years' time, I'll be 58. Then I will be firmly in the departure lounge of the firm. People like Mendell are going to be moaning about that old crotchety van Voore sitting in the corner there. Why can't he just take early retirement? Yes? And you can't somewhere make a partner. It takes time to develop the person's skills. And we can't discover when the economy is pumping in 2030 that we now need all of these excellent lawyers. And so we have to hire people like you today for the firm that we want to continue to have in the future. Back yourself and apply. Back yourself and apply. Do it just because.
With your summer program that you just mentioned, are there like specific requirements that you need to reach in for you to be able to attend?
All on the website. What year are you currently? Yeah, so you're going to start finishing your final exam now, and then you can start applying for some of that. However, what degree are you studying? And I'll be straight when you can start looking at the criteria there, because next year is going to be quite an important year for you to apply for opportunities.
And it just on applying, right? Again, I don't know what the spread of first, second, third, fourth years are here. It's never too early to apply. we often find that people leave it too late to come on our selection days, and they are well advanced into their legal career, their studies already, and there isn't an opportunity left at the firm. If you come to us, you appear on our radar in your final year. We filled up the next year 2 years ago. And we sometimes are recruiting 5-6 years hence. We've got people lined up in 2022 already. 2021, sorry. Do we have 2022 yet?
21.
We're not into 22 yet. So it's early, and our selection day, our program is designed in such a way that a second year law student can get through it just as much as a final year law student can get through it. So you mustn't wait until your pre-final or final year start appearing on our radar. You must come early. Okay. So again, don't wait now.